Nobody tells you how actually scary it is to say these words out loud when you're just starting out, but hopefully it's only gonna get better from here. Hi guys and welcome. My name is Oksana and I created this YouTube channel so I can share my life journey with you all and also my love to one of my most favorite hobbies on earth, reading. One of the reasons I decided to go for a YouTube channel is that I don't really have that many reader friends in real life, and the only one that I do, me and her have such drastic reading tastes that it's not even funny. We usually don't even see eye to eye when we're discussing books. So I thought this channel would be a cool opportunity to create my own community of fellow readers, as well as share some snippets of my life that I will enjoy rewatching in the future. Since I'm quite literally a newbie on this platform, I decided that there's no better way to introduce myself to you guys as a reader than sharing some of my absolute all-time favorite reads. I saw this version of the BookTube Newbie Tag idea at Olive's Book Nook. I will link her channel down below so you can check her video out as well, and decided to follow some of the questions from her video to introduce myself a little bit better to you guys. So without a further ado, let's get into the video. And question number one is, what are the books that got you into reading? When I first saw the questions for this tag, I kind of started thinking about my answers right away. And the first thing that came into my mind was definitely Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I think for all of us late 90s babies, it's going to be pretty much universal experience of getting into reading through Harry Potter. However, when I started thinking about it a little bit more, I remembered that there was a book that I read even before Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone, and I absolutely enjoyed. I vividly remember my grandma picking this book up for me at like downtown area in my hometown at a random book stall, and it was called Nina, the Girl of the Sixth Moon. It's written by the Venetian author Roberta Rizzo, but I think this specific series she wrote under her pen name Moony Witcher, and I definitely remember reading first two books of the series, but unfortunately don't remember the rest. I think in general there are like 7 or 8 books in there. It was quite a long series, but I don't think I ever had an opportunity to read it all. In this middle grade series, we follow Nina, a 10-year-old girl who very early on the first book finds out that unfortunately her beloved grandfather passes away. When she starts learning a little bit more about her granddad's passing, she comes to a conclusion that she doesn't believe that this was all natural and there's something fishy is going on. After convincing herself that there is definitely something going on surrounding her granddad's passing, she decides to take help from some of her best friends and kind of embark on this journey figuring out the mystery of her grandfather's death. This book was quite fun. It had magic, it has fantasy, it has really good world building. It also had a lot of alchemy themes in there because Nina's grandfather is quite literally an alchemist. I remember enjoying this series so much, and even now when I was like Googling information about it so many years after, it sparked so many memories about this series. I want to reread it, but I couldn't unfortunately find it online translated into either English or Ukrainian. So if you see it online, or if you know the series I'm talking about, please let me know where I can read it. I'm quite literally dying to find out how this whole series ended. I am such a mood reader that one day I can quite literally crave like a thriller, horror, or like a mystery, something of that sort, and then the next day I'll be like, you know what, it's gonna be a good idea to like read a cutesy little romance. So I can't say that I limit myself to a specific genre. Today, I think I'm gravitating mostly towards fantasy, and that's going to be like all-encompassing. We have epic fantasy, I have paranormal fantasy, fantasy romance, sci-fi, and so on. That, and also a little bit of romance, I think. Quite opposite to the second question, the third one is going to be, what genres do you read the least? Let me start by saying that the reason I'm reading the genre the least is not because I think it's like a waste of time or like a bad genre overall or that I don't like it. I think the main reason is that I don't really know any books in the genre per se because I quite literally never reach for it. So if you have really good recommendations in non-fiction genre, please share them with me. I'll be happy to expand my reading horizons. Moving along, question number 4 is, what is the book you tell everybody is your favorite? Honestly, it's so hard for me to recommend books to people because I tend to feel so pressured to come up with a book that's going to be wildly loved by a variety of people, and I know that it's quite an impossible task to achieve. So usually I tend to either tell people that, oh, I have so many favorites that I can't pick one, or just like avoid the question overall. But when I was preparing for these specific questions, one book definitely stood out for me. And as the answer to this specific question, I'm gonna go with Pure Nessie by Susanna Clarke. I read this book about 2 years ago when I was first getting back into reading after a huge time gap of not doing so. What I like the most about this book is the writing style. It is truly whimsical, and I also liked how the storyline got us all readers confused, definitely on purpose. In this book, we follow our unreliable narrator who lives in a castle with infinite number of rooms and quite literally an ocean in the middle of the castle. As we're getting new characters introduced to us throughout the story, we definitely don't know whether we can trust our main character or any of them for that matter, and we get so confused while trying to figure out what the truth is. At the end of this book, when I finally figured out what was going on, it literally gave me whiplash. There is something special about this book to me. That's why I chose it to be the answer to this specific question. And if you frequent Book Talk and BookTube, I know you've seen this book all over the place, but if you haven't picked it up yet, please do so. This book is absolutely truly magical and you will not regret reading it. Question number 5. What is the book you reread the most? Funny enough, in my reading journey so far, I haven't had a need to reread a book just yet. No matter how many 5-star reads I had, I don't feel any pull to go back into that story and relive it. I know some readers love to reread their favorite reads as like a comfort read, but like I said, I haven't done that one yet. The only book that I reread would probably be Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And the reason for that is last winter, my friend and I kind of realized that we have never gave Harry Potter a go as adults. We only remember reading that as kids, so we decided to start our journey of rereading the books, and we only got as far as the first book. Question number 6. What is the book that everyone loved but you didn't? Sadly, for this question, I would have to admit that I could never get into The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I know that some people describe this book as life-changing or earth-shattering, and I regret to say that I actually liked the book, but I did not love it as a lot of people did. And I think it's honestly my fault because I put so much pressure on myself to actually get into this book and love it, because I knew that so many people were obsessed with it. And I also put a lot of pressure on the book, and instead of just like reading and enjoying it, I was literally waiting for this book to like cure all my life problems, which is basically impossible. So now my big scary secret is out. I did not love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Let's move on. And question number 7 is a book that definitely deserved all the hype. For this question, rather than going with like a specific book, I would like to mention the author that I think deserves all the hype. And we're going to be talking about Donna Tartt and her fabulously written literature works. We're going to probably start with Goldfinch because this is the very first book that introduced me to Donna Tartt. And you can tell just by the physical state of this book that I absolutely loved reading it. I used to bring this book with me everywhere I go, whether like public transit or whatever I was like riding in a car with someone, everywhere. Park, school, my internship in the office, quite literally everywhere. I remember finding this book randomly on a windowsill in the office where I had my internship, and I asked around. Nobody claimed this book, so my manager just told me, why don't you just like take it and read it if you're really interested in it. I have never heard of Donna Tartt before, so when I took this book home and started reading this, let me tell you, I think my whole life just changed. I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the writing style of Donna Tartt. I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody described her writing style as painting a mural using the tiniest brush possible, and I couldn't agree more. She pays so much attention to details and the things that otherwise would have been overlooked, but I enjoy it. It is such a treasure to read Donna Tartt's books. I can't even explain it to y'all. In Goldfinch, we are following our main character, Theo, who recently became an orphan. He lost his mom in one of the bombings in New York City museums. One of the victims literally gave him the Goldfinch painting and told him to run and hide it and make sure that the painting is safe. From then, we follow Theo's life through every single milestone of his, and the painting's milestone as well. This book is a definition of it's all about the journey and not the final destination. If this sounds interesting to you, please pick it up, or if you've never read Donna Tartt before, I highly recommend starting with Goldfinch I absolutely love it. Next Donna Tartt's book that I want to talk about is definitely Secret History. I know this book frequents book recommendations of a lot of booktubers and book talkers. Everybody loves to put it in like TBR of the fall or dark academia TBR. It's definitely all that, but also so much more. I like to think about this book more as a character study rather than a plot driven book. I don't know how to explain it, but it enchanted me from the very first page, and it didn't let me put this book down until I finished it and until I knew the reason why Bunny was killed. If you know, you know. Question number 8, a book you read the fastest. I've read a fair share of fast-paced books, or like books that I literally downed in one sitting. But for this one, I want to mention The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This book is often described as one about secrets in marriage, but I like to describe it as a book where 2 little girls believed that magic was real. We follow our 2 main characters throughout their life and really get to know them, as well as the things they truly believe in. Particularly the fact that they both are lost heiresses to the Fae throne and must live their life right now and right here in this real world as if they are Fae, so they will be able to go back into the Fae realm and reclaim their throne. This book is absolutely perfect for this season. Whenever I was reading it, I kind of felt that the world in the book was described to me as if through the filter of vintage film camera, you know, where like the hues are a little bit on the greener or like the yellower side. Question number 9, a book you think deserves more hype. For me, hands down, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. It's a folklore-inspired tale about our main character Mina, who sacrifices herself instead of her brother's fiance to be a bride for the sea god, the monster who many years ago cursed and till this day terrorizes little village where Mina is from. She jumps into the sea and discovers the whole underwater kingdom where the sea god is the ruler. She then quickly learns that this curse that everybody is talking about is not the entire story, and shortly after that she is tasked with saving the entire world, both underwater and the one that she used to live in as well. This book has demons, witches, spirits, surprisingly dragons as well. It is truly made with love and for love at its core, and I recommend it to everybody who loves their books to be magical, whimsical, and also have this aura of a fairy tale about it. It also reminds me of a Studio Ghibli movie, so if that's something that interests you, please pick this book up. It definitely deserves for more people to find out about it. Number 10, a book that made you cry. I am very sensitive, and a genuine good, heartfelt, happy ending to any book will definitely make me cry. But the book I want to talk about today is slightly different than that. We're going to be talking about The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. When I read it about a year ago, it absolutely wrecked my life, and till this day continues to do so every time I think about it. I am a Ukrainian American, and the majority of my family still lives in Ukraine. And considering the political situation in that part of the world, the topic of war definitely hits close to home for me. This book follows the life of 2 sisters during World War II. It discusses all the struggles and difficult choices they had to make to survive. Reading about the war is one thing, but then reading about it and also realizing that something like that is literally happening right now in your home country definitely did a number on me, and I cried like an absolute baby after finishing this book. And for this and many other reasons, Kristen Hanna became my auto-buy and auto-read author for the rest of my life. And last but definitely not least in importance, 11th question, a book you will never forget. I remember vividly it was about mid-October 2 years ago. Fall finally made its way to Florida. We were also moving houses, and it was a rather stressful period for me in my life. I remember this book becoming available on Libby app, and I immediately downloaded it and started listening to it. I honestly, apart from general synopsis about it, did not know anything about this book, and so I just blindly went into it. Not only it gripped me so hard from the first chapter, but also after finishing it, I felt like I was punched to the stomach. I also remember my state of mind after finishing this book, and it was not good. Let me just put it that way. However, in my opinion, this book itself is absolutely tremendous work of literature. I am talking about My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This book definitely left the biggest impression on me, and I will 100% never forget it. And probably going back to the reread question in this video, this might be probably the only book that I was itching to reread lately. I know that a lot of people have already heard about this book, and probably you also know what this book is about, but if you don't, before jumping into it, just like I did, please, please, please check all the trigger warnings and make sure you're comfortable with the content that's in this book. Well, it was quite a few books we talked about today. I shared some of my absolute favorite reads with you guys, as well as the books that made the most impact on me and my life. Hopefully you were able to find something to your liking on the list and you got to know me a little bit better as a reader. Thank you for staying till the very end. I appreciate both your time and support, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye!